Hello everyone, my name is Aaron McGrew, and I'm here to promote a support group called Living Free. Well, I've never personally dealt with drugs or alcohol or anything of that extreme, but I've always been a person who was very emotional. Like, I have battled anxiety for approximately 20 years. I've dealt with heavy depression, suicidal thoughts, and workaholism. I've always been a loner. About 2 years ago, year 2014, when this group first started, I've been attending it since the very first meeting. But I didn't intentionally plan on attending these meetings. I sing and I play the piano. I'm one of the musicians at the church. As time went on, I was asked by one of the leaders if I would be the official person the official song leader, basically. So after these times of singing, I just by default would stay for the group. One of the leaders would teach a lesson for several minutes, and then we would split off into groups by gender, and we would have discussion questions that we would answer, or go around the room and answer how it applies to us personally. And then once the questions are over, we would have time of sharing anything that may be on our heart. Having been a loner for most of my life, I'm 29 years old now, I was under the impression that I was the only person in the world who had problems. Because now I've always been a social media addict ever since it became a thing. Now the thing about social media is that most people usually promote the good things about themselves. They talk about like their job promotions, or they just got married. And seeing all that, you so quickly forget that people actually do have problems underneath those good things, because these things they promote, they're only snapshots of their life. You don't see like what goes on behind the scenes. Now for me on social media, I was a realist. I was an uber realist. Like, I would always glorify everything, like the goods and the bads. It's mostly the bads. It's the thing about venting your problems out on Facebook is that not everybody is going to understand. Not everybody is going to be free of judgment. When I first started attending these meetings, I was very shocked. I was even scared when I was overhearing these guys talk about the things that they were dealing with. Drug abuse, alcohol abuse, physical abuse, or rape. Like, I've never met anyone who would openly talk about these things, about having first-handedly dealt with them in their life. And that was the thing that really helped me out, was overhearing people talk what they deal with behind the scenes, because not everybody does that just within the first meeting. Like, I have always kept my relationships fairly shallow. So to hear all these things, it made me realize that I wasn't alone. I've always been, I guess, fairly innocent, I guess you could say. I grew up in it was a really good home. The problems that we did have, like, shaped me differently, and it left me very empty, and I didn't know how to deal with any, like, the inner pain that I had to deal with. Initially, like, it took me a very long time to actually partake in sharing. And Living Free is a place free of judgment, and we are sworn to secrecy. Well, all these lessons that have been taught in these groups, they just hit home with me like every week, because they give solid definition to what you deal with, like, in your mind. I have some destructive habits that came out of depression, because we live in a world that's, well, it's very entertainment addicted and driven, I guess you could say. Anything to escape reality. Like, that's what our world is currently obsessed with. But that's very unhealthy, because the Bible says that the truth will make you free. So, like, I encourage you, like, don't be afraid. It's like, come to Living Free. We will take good care of you. We will provide listening ears. Because if you never address it, like, it's just going to eat away at you, and you're going to be in bondage to your addictions, never having dealt with it. We need to come together and, like, have a light shine on it. You got to expose the darkness that is within and get that out of your heart so you can finally live free.